Okay, so when I was in high school, I remember a lot of my friends went to summer camp, and usually that's like a middle school thing, but I guess my high school friends went to summer camp as well, which is kind of weird at the same time, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. But anyways, I remember my parents one time came up to me and said, hey, do you want to go to summer camp with you and your friends this year? And I was like in grade 10, you know, almost going to grade 11, but it was the summer of, and I really wanted to go. So I remember I told my parents, yeah, because, you know, what's the problem with summer camp, you know? At first, when I really thought about it, I thought it was gonna be weird and like band camp. If you guys don't know what that is, it's like basically where a bunch of weirdos go. Stereotypically, I'm saying. I don't know if it's all for all camps really. So I remember my parents actually signed me up for summer camp. Now, when I went to summer camp, it was pretty interesting to actually go there. Like I remember I got on the bus and we all headed down there, and I was sitting with some of my friends and stuff like that, and we were just chilling. But when me and my friends got to summer camp, I remember a lot of them already had friends that were like already hanging out and chilling there and stuff. So once again, as usual, I was kind of lonely there. So it sucked at first, but obviously, you know, I kind of just tried to make the best of it and try to make friends, I guess. Because if you guys don't know, I already hit puberty at this time, so I didn't look ugly. So obviously I could, you know, walk up to people and say, hi, how you doing? Not saying that ugly people can't do that, but I'm saying, you know, let's just say I had more confidence in myself than what I had back then. Anyways, I remember I saw a couple friends, and I remember seeing them, you know, hang out with other people and stuff like that. And at first I was thinking about walking up to them, but I was nervous, so I decided not to. Then out of nowhere, I remember I was just walking around, just kind of chilling, and I saw this girl just sitting all by herself, kind of just doing her own thing. And the funny thing was that this girl was hot. Now, usually scientifically, from what I've seen in high school, hot girls don't be lonely. That's not like a thing I've ever seen. So if you're a hot chick that's alone, I don't know what you're doing wrong. Either you're super psycho or you're just lonely. I don't know. It's weird. So I remember I decided to walk up to her and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? And then she said to me, oh, hi. And little did I know she had like insane anxiety, and it was her first year of like going to a camp. Same as me, basically. And I remember we kind of like started talking and we started hitting it off. She was really cute. She was really hot, you know, like not really expecting to do anything. But to be honest, from what I heard from my friends, doing the devil's tango at camp was like trendy, I guess. I don't know. I saw a lot in the movies, but I guess we also have it in real life. I don't know. But going on, I remember we were talking, we were hanging out and stuff like that. And actually we got really close. Like I remember at night times, we would message each other in our like cabins and we'd be like, how you doing? You know, all those cute text messages that you would go back and forth and basically, you know, act cute. And later on throughout the day, I remember how we were talking about, you know, hooking up. Now at first I was like, okay, like I'm kind of down, you know, let's try it. Let's, you know, like why not, you know, like I've been in that phase where I've done it before, like might as well, big man Bubba, let's go. But the funny thing was that she never did it before, so she was really iffy on it. So obviously, you know, straight out of the bat, I knew for a fact I wasn't gonna do the devil's tango. Like it was just a no-go. Like it was not gonna happen. But then I realized something pretty cool. So I remember the next morning, me and my friends all got breakfast together, and I saw her sitting with a group of friends. Now this is actually pretty interesting because I didn't know that she had a group of friends. Like I guess she made friends out of the blue. And I texted her saying like, oh, you made friends, that's awesome. And then she texted me that she was with her family members. So I guess she had family there, which is pretty interesting. And at first I was iffy about it, but then when I looked over at the table, I saw this dime. Okay, I saw this the hottest chick in camp. Okay, this girl was like a delicacy. Like I would literally put this girl on a pedestal and pray to her. I'm not actually going to do that, but you know what I mean. Like she was hot. Okay, she was hot. So I remember what I ended up doing was like, you know, asking like, oh, who's the person sitting like 2 seats away from you, through text. And she said, oh, that's my cousin. She's, you know, kind of cool, I guess. And little did I know, damn, I wanted her cousin more than her. So it was really awkward in this scenario because like at this point I was like, you know what, like ditch the girl and then just go for her cousin. But at the same time, you know, I didn't want to be cruel like that, but at the same time I was an F-boy at the time and I really did want it. So you know what, I was like, screw it, might as well, let's do it, go for the boys, winging it. So what I ended up doing was that I remember one time I saw her alone. Well, I was kind of stalking her cousin for a bit, which is weird, don't ever do this, but I was stalking her cousin for a bit and I saw her alone. And I remember I walked up and I'm like, hey, like how you doing? And I'm not even joking, when this girl was looking at me and staring at me, I was blushing like crazy. Like I haven't had this feeling since middle school. Like it was interesting, very interesting. So I remember I was like how you doing? Like, what's up? And this girl actually found me somewhat attractive, which was a shocker because I looked like this back then. So it was interesting to see her actually like, you know, somewhat attracted to me. And then we started talking and we got back and forth and it kept going and going on, stuff like that. But as I was like kind of talking and flirting with her, you know, it went back and forth. But then her other cousin, well, her friend that I was naturally going for, or her cousin that I was actually going for at first, came up to me and said, excuse me, what are you doing here? Now, this is where things got really awkward. Because, you know, she looked at me, I looked at her, and it was like the triangle circle, because she liked me, I liked her cousin is like actually, no, wait, that's Alabama. Never mind. Anyways, like I was saying though, so we were talking and it was like really awkward between all three of us. And then I remember one thing I ended up doing was I kind of like started like slowly moving away backwards, like those awkward scenarios. And then once I got to the door, I sprinted out of there like crazy. And when I sprinted out of there like crazy, I remember I was like trying to plan out what I wanted to do and stuff. And then for some reason, out of nowhere, she got my Snapchat. The hot cousin got my Snapchat, I should say. Now, this is where things got really interesting. So this was really cool in my opinion, because honestly, like having both hot girl Snapchats were like a W in camp. And I remember telling my friends like, damn, like I met this hot chick, like this is awesome, like let's go. And my friends were like really like iffy on it. And then one thing they told me was that the hot cousin, like, you know, she gets around. That's what they told me. So at that point, I'm like, okay, so this is gonna be a score. Like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the devil's tango with her. Like this is the W. So I remember I was snapping her cousin through Snapchat, and I was just talking to her and stuff like that, because she was hot, you know, it was awesome. And I remember she asked me, hey, what are you doing tonight? Now, fun fact about camp, you have to be in bed by at least 10 o'clock. Like 10 o'clock is like total shutdown, like don't go out, nothing. But I remember me and her wanted to sneak out together that night, and it was the best idea she ever gave me. Like I'm not even joking, I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna do this. And I remember laying in bed around 10 o'clock. I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here, I'm gonna go meet up with this chick, like let's go, that's a W. Anyways, from there on, I remember like right at like 10:30, I left my cabin. Like I sprinted out of there almost, but doing it quietly to the point where none of the boys heard me. And when I got out of there, I remember I straight up like ran to this thing called a tabernacle. Now, if you guys don't know what a tabernacle is, I don't know, we have like fun events in there and stuff. I don't know what else to really say. And when we got there, I remember instantly like I saw her there and she saw me, and we started talking and sitting on this couch that was there. And when we were talking and stuff, I remember she was like kind of getting close to me, and I got close to her, and little by little I realized that we ended up doing the devil's tango. And we were doing that like until like 5 in the morning. So we passed out there. It was a funny situation, you know. It was pretty good. Like I had a good time, you know. Like all I'm gonna say is camp was successful. Like I call that successful camp. But then the funniest thing happened. So the next morning, what ended up happening was that I ended up seeing her cousin, or the girl I was first flirting with, come through the door. Now this was the most craziest thing, because she didn't have a shirt on, I didn't have my pants on. It was a weird situation. But basically, I remember like we saw the door open to the tabernacle, and we got changed instantly. Like it was a snap, dude. Like we did it so quick, to the point where like we got dressed up really quickly, and then she walked in. She's like, what are you doing in here with my cousin? So she kind of walked in on us because she knew something was up. And she got so pissed off. I remember she literally grabbed her cousin by the wrist and said, you're not allowed to hang out with him anymore. Like, this is family rules. Like, you can't do that. Blah, 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 you know, whatever. And then me standing there, like, I felt bad because like she was staring at me with like such sadness. Like, as if it was like Romeo and Juliet from like, you know, like a sad part of the movie or whatever. Like how Capulets and Montagues can't be close together. I don't know. This is something I learned in English class. But anyways, so one thing that I realized was that, you know, she got put away. And I remember the camp counselor came up to me. So if you guys don't know, we had like a head camp leader, counselor, whatever, and she came up to me and said, hey, you do know you're not allowed to do that in this campsite. Like, we're going to have to send you home this weekend, and you can come back after the weekend. Like, it was like a 3-day suspension from camp, which is weird, but I guess it's a thing. So I got suspended for 3 days, and then 3 days later I came back and I realized that she went home as well for the next 3 days, just so they can like kind of keep us apart. And the rest of camp, we were like spread out and we weren't allowed to see each other. And then after camp, I realized that she, you know, I started having feelings for this girl, but after camp, I realized that she had a boyfriend the whole time. So that was a really awkward scenario, but we'll save that for another story time. Okay, so doing it in a movie theater. Honestly, I do not advise doing this, and no one should be doing anything I tell in the stories. But today's story is honestly something insane, and I cannot wait to tell it to you guys, because it does get a little devil's tango. But before the story starts, I want you to make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And overall, I just want to say thank you guys for all the love and support on this channel. We hit 200,000 subscribers, so, you know, just for that, I am currently live on Twitch as we speak. Thank you guys. So go click the link in the description down below and join on in. Other than that, let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So today's story is about a movie theater. Now, I know I've done it in bathrooms. I know I've done it in porta potties, to cars, to everything. But a movie theater is a whole different story. Let me explain. I remember back when I was in high school, there was a really hot group of girls. Now, in this hot group of girls, I'm not gonna lie, there's always the ugly one. And I remember one time when I was just chilling at my lunch table, hanging out, and one of the girls from that group group came up to me. She told me, hey, like my friend thinks like you're really cute, and I was just wondering, like she doesn't have a date for this weekend, and like a lot of the guys canceled on her. I was just wondering if you want to go with her. I had no idea what she was asking me, but apparently one of her friends were interested in me. Now, me being the total F-boy I was, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was maybe a good idea. You know, I had nothing to do this weekend, and you know, it never hurts to go see a movie. I mean, she already had tickets and like, you know, a free movie and a girl to go with it, that's not an issue. So I remember I looked at her and told the girl, or one of her friends, telling her, yeah, like I'm down, like I'll go to a movie with her. What movie are we seeing? She looks at me and goes, oh, it's like some new like horror movie that came out. I don't really know. She didn't tell me about it. But once she said the word horror movie, I'm not gonna lie, I shat my pants. I cannot watch horror movies, chat. I don't care what you guys say. Girls, I don't know why you guys like horror movies. I hate horror movies. I can't even play a horror game, for God's sakes. I know a lot of you guys are asking me down on Twitch to stream a horror game, but I can't play one. I can't watch or play horror games. Scary. Anyways, other than that, I remember I looked at her and I'm like I don't know if I can do horror. And then I remember this girl looked at me and she's like, if you do, me and you can have some fun afterwards. At that moment, knowing that this girl was willing to offer herself and her friend, dude, come on. It's like buy one, get one free. But at this case, you know, it's free, get one free. Like, I'm not losing. So I remember what I ended up doing was I ended up actually saying yes. I said, yeah, like, you know what? Screw it. I'm down. I'll do it. I don't see why not. The girl looks at me all excited and I get both their Snapchats. When I did, I remember I went home and I ended up snapping the girl that, you know, wanted to go out with me. I remember I snapped her, and when she snapped me back, oh my God, this girl was not a 10. At most, I'll maybe give her a 3 if I'm generous. The reason I say this is because she had like her gums like really sticking out. Like, you know those people when they smile, you see more gum than teeth? It was one of those situations. And chat, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, okay? I don't know what was more scary, the horror movie I was gonna go see or this girl I was gonna go meet up with. Anyways, like I was saying though, I remember when I ended up going to the movies, I picked her up and I got her in my car and we drove over down there. And as we were driving down there, I don't know what was going on with this girl, but she was drinking pineapple juice and she was just being a weirdo, and she was just like, oh my goodness, like, did you drink pineapple juice today? Like, you should drink some. What? Why would I need to drink pineapple juice? Apparently there's some deep secret in the devil's tango realm of pineapple juice. I have no idea. Maybe one day I'll test that theory when I'm live on Twitch. But seriously, it just made no sense to me. So I remember what I ended up doing was I ended up, you know, drinking some pineapple juice, driving down to the theater. And when we got there, I remember we went out and we went inside. As we went inside, I remember this girl was like doing the whole shebang with like holding my hand and all this stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I was embarrassed. Knowing I was gonna stand beside this chick, like, it was unreal. But knowing I was gonna meet up with a hotter one after, I mean, I'm not complaining, am I? I remember we ended up going inside the theater, and when we sat down in our seats, me and her, we were just, you know, chilling. I had popcorn on my lap, and I remember I had it like between my legs. And this girl, she would like put her hand in the popcorn, but like reach deep down in the damn popcorn like there was no tomorrow. Like, I don't know what she was reaching for, the popcorn or my eggplant. Like, oh my God. Anyways, I remember as we were watching this movie, the movie starts, and me, I'm not gonna lie, it was some dumb horror movie about a clown and stuff, and me, I didn't want to watch it. I remember I kept looking away, and I kept looking up in the sky, and I kept like turning my head away because I didn't want to see the movie. And then let's just say I ended up doing this mistake, and this is a common mistake, where I turned my head towards her. It was during a quiet scene of the movie. It was like some romantic part that was going on. And I remember the girl looks at me and instantly starts making out with me. At that point, I was grossed. I'm not gonna lie. I could feel her gums hitting my teeth. Like, I was grossed out. And then I remember as like that was going on, she instantly starts putting a hand on my thigh, and then she instantly just decides to take off my pants, and whoop-de-doo, my eggplant was out. And yeah, let's just say she ended up doing the devil's head. Yeah, that was gross. Luckily, I was like in the very back of the theater, which I mean makes sense. I mean, if you sit in the front of the theater, you're weird champ Andy. But no, I remember she just starts doing that. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like, I do not want this right now. Like, whoa, this is bad. This is really bad. And I remember this girl just keeps going at it, and I'm just like, okay, like, I can't even watch the movie. I can't watch the movie. I just can't. But then after a while, I remember I ended up getting a Snapchat on my phone. And since we were sitting in the back of the theater, I literally just went on Snapchat as this girl was doing this. And I opened my Snapchat and I see it's the girl that, you know, I was gonna go see after. And she sent me a photo of her in lingerie, and like, you know, she was basically showing her cherries. And at that point, I'm like, whoa. And instantly at that moment, I ended up doing the devil's cream. And this girl that was like doing the job was so excited. She was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Like, she was all hyped up. I'm so happy people in the theater were not listening, because if they were, oh my God, it would have been exposed so bad. But she starts getting all excited and stuff. And then I remember I'm just like panicking and freaking out, like, okay, this is so bad. This is so weird. Because this girl thinks that she actually did the deed. Anyways, I remember I was like kind of freaking out. And then I remember when she pulled her head up, she ended up having like devil's cream on her hair. And at that point, I was freaked out. I'm like, okay, nope, this is weird. Not doing this. We got to stop. Nope, nope, not gonna happen. Nope, not allowed. And then I remember this girl got up because she had to go clean her hair. So she ended up getting up and going to the bathroom. And I was just sitting in that theater alone watching the movie. I was sitting there and thinking, do I really really want to be here? Do I really want to be here right now? So I remember I ended up kind of like looking around the theater and I'm like, no, I don't want to be here right now. So I got up and I took the emergency exit and I went to my car and left her there. I left the girl in the theater. I remember when I left the girl in the theater, I instantly got in my car. I texted her friend. I'm like, hey, we ended up finishing the movie, which was totally cap, by the way. And like, I'm gonna come over. She said, sure, come on over. So I remember I ended up driving down to her place and I went there. When I went to her place, I remember me and her, like, yes, one thing led to another. You know, we got close and we ended up doing the Devil's Tango while watching some comedy movie. Because God knows I'm not gonna watch a horror movie. But as me and her, we're doing the Devil's Tango, her friend that I left at the theater starts knocking on the damn door and is like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sad. Can you let me in? Oh my goodness, like, he left me at the theater. Yeah, I don't know how I was gonna tell her that I ended up being here at her friend's place, but I remember she starts freaking out. She's like, you left her at the theater? As this girl's on top of me and I'm like, I can explain. She starts getting all pissed off. Everyone's getting pissed off. She lets the girl in. They're both yelling at me for like 20 minutes about how it's not right to treat a woman that way and stuff like that. And in my opinion, honestly, I mean, you know, like, I told them, hey, I got a 2 for free 1 deal. Like, relax. We want to go to Tim Hortons. We can go get some Timmy's. Like, I don't know. I was just trying to change the conversation. And yeah, long story short, they both blocked me on Snapchat that day. I ended up driving home and yeah, that's how it happened. Anyways, guys, that's basically it for the end of this story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Seriously means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, if you guys don't know, I am currently live on Twitch as we speak. So come on, join in on the live stream. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys. Now, usually when you break up with someone, you usually never talk to them again. But for me, well, I guess I had something else in mind. As you guys can tell from the title, I am not proud of this, but at the same time, it was a flex to tell the boys. And today, well, you guys will be the boys and you guys will hear this amazing story that I've got to tell you. But before I get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also, I go live on Kick playing video games, hanging out, and also not to mention, my birthday is actually tomorrow. So if you guys are here for tomorrow's video, I'm just going to be making a thank you post for everything you guys have done. Other than that, well, let's just get straight to the insane story. All right, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane, but kind of a flex story. So today's story actually happened back when I was in high school. It was my grade 10 year, and I remember I was dating this girl for 2 months. Now, this girl that I was dating, she was outstanding. She was a blonde brunette, and she was actually really nice. But the thing about her was that she was always really secretive. Like, for example, when I asked her about her feelings, she would always kind of just shrug it off and be like, oh, it doesn't matter, when it really did mattered. I don't know why girls do this. It gets annoying, girls, by the way, if you're watching this video, but at the same time, I get it. Sometimes things are not meant to be said. But as a boyfriend of this girl, I felt like it was obligated to kind of, you know what's going on, because I'm always there just to be with her and support her. But clearly she didn't felt that way, and she kept going to her phone to discuss her problems with someone else. And who was that someone else? Well, apparently it was her guy friend. Now, I'm gonna put guy friend in quotations here, because if you guys don't know, any girl with guy friends is an automatic red flag. Hence why I only dated the girl for 2 months. So I remember one day I decided to talk to her and sit down with her and be like, listen, I get it, you talk to your guy friends more than me, but I'm gonna be honest, like, as your boyfriend, I felt maybe, you could talk to me instead. She looked at me and kind of rolled her eyes and said, Bubba, you're my boyfriend. You're always gonna tell me what I want to hear. I mean, not in bed. Kind of a bad joke to make at the time, but I mean, she had a point. And then one thing led to another. I want to say a couple weeks later, to be honest, I couldn't handle it anymore, because it got to the point where she would actually go out and hang out with these guy friends and not talk to me. It kind of sucked and it made me annoyed, but at the same time, I get it. Maybe she just wasn't ready for me to be in a relationship with her. So I decided to DM her and I messaged her on Instagram saying, yo, listen, to be honest, can we talk tomorrow at school before school starts? She ended up messaging me back saying, of course, babe. And then I remember the next day when I got to school, I sat her down at the bleachers and I told her how I think it's time for us to break up. I broke up with her, but right as I said the word breakup, she looked at me and said, oh, like, I'm gonna be honest, Bubba, like, I was planning on breaking up with you already, but you just made this a whole lot easier on me. I agree, we're not compatible. And I looked at her and said, wait, what? And I looked at her in the most questionable face I think I've ever made. She looked at me as well, and she looked at me saying, well, like, yeah, like, you're a Taurus, I'm an Aquarius, like, it doesn't really work out. What do signs have to do with this? I don't know. Girls, if you're into signs, seriously, my opinion, get your fist and shove it out of your... Sorry, never mind. I forgot we're on YouTube. YouTube, don't demonetize this video. But seriously, like, what is the point? Going on from there, though, I remember I was kind of upset and I kind of got annoyed. Knowing that she just said that to me kind of just made things a lot worse worse in my mind. And I know what you guys are saying. Oh, like she's just saying that to cover herself up. But to be honest, it made me really upset. So I remember I decided to just basically just ignore her. I blocked her on everything and did what I had to do. Now you guys are probably wondering, wait, Bubba, didn't you say you did her sister though? Well, I'm getting to that. You see, I want to say 2 weeks later, I remember a girl enters our school. I looked at her and I kind of recognized her, but at the same time, I didn't because, well, she looked a lot different than my ex. So I remember I walked up to her and said, hey, I'm sorry, I just have a question. Who are you? She looked at me really weird because what kind of person walks up to someone saying, who are you? But then she ended up saying her full name, and that's when I realized she had the same last name as my ex. I remember I asked her, oh, are you related to this person? And I showed her a photo of my ex-girlfriend, and she said, oh yeah, I recognize her. What about her? I looked at her and I was confused because it's insane to me how my ex-girlfriend never told her sister about me and her. It's like I was a secret or something. So I remember I looked at her and said, wait, so you don't know who I am? She looks at me saying, no, are you one of like my sister's like guy friends? And as she says that, she puts like, you know, her fingers up in like quotations. And at that moment, I knew there was a lot of guys that she kept a secret from me. And a lot of these guys could be, you know, also her boyfriend. So what I decided to do was do the most devious thing that I could ever do. And yes, this is pure evil. No one should do this. But at the same time, I am Bubba and I am going to do this for you guys. I remember I ended up basically saying, oh, well, like, I don't know. I just saw her around the school. I don't actually know her, to be honest. What's your snap, by the way? I ended up adding her on Snapchat and, oh, actually, okay, wait, pause on the story real quick. I just want to say I recently got verified on Snapchat. If you guys want to add me, go right ahead and add me on Snapchat because seriously, thanks to you guys, we're verified on there and I post crazy updates about my life all the time. Even the Devil's Tango. So go add me on Snapchat. But sorry, going on with the story again. I remember I ended up adding this girl on Snapchat and me and her, we ended up talking and well, I spoke my W Riz and me and her kind of, you know, became a flirtatious thing. Not an actual relationship, but me and her were talking. I remember one day, I want to say like 1 week later, I was always talking to this girl. Me and her were always flirting with each other. And honestly, even though it was my ex's sister, it felt pretty good to talk to another girl right after. She was like the perfect rebound. She reminded me about my ex all the time. Actually, that's a really bad rebound, but still it worked out because I remember 1 week later from me talking to her, I ended up basically getting a DM from her. She ended up sending me a message on Snapchat and she said, oh, like my sister's having a party this weekend. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like she's inviting all her friends and her like boyfriend and stuff. Do you want to come? When I saw that sentence and I saw the word boyfriend after literally 2 weeks of me and her breaking up, I knew I was gonna go there and I was gonna confront her. So I ended up saying, oh yeah, I would love to come. And I want to say the day of the party, when I got dressed and ready to go, I got in my car, I drove down to that place and I instantly, and I mean instantly, started revving my car engine outside her place. I remember when I revved my car, instantly my ex-girlfriend ended up coming out the door and running to my car saying, Bubba, why are you here? And then that's when her sister ended up coming outside saying, wow, you weren't wrong, your car is loud. And that's when she realized that I came for her sister. She started basically getting really upset, but the thing is that right as both of them came out, my ex's new boyfriend ended up also coming out the door saying, hey babe, who's the guy with the cool car? And instantly at that moment, I looked at her and I was like, you gonna tell him? And she flustered. Like she was so scared. She did not know what to say. She was shaking. She didn't know what was going on. And she just said, oh, nothing. It's just my sister's friend. And at that moment, she went back inside. Now you guys are probably wondering, why didn't she tell her boyfriend that, you know, I was her ex-boyfriend from like, you know, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, technically. And that's because apparently this guy was already dating her when I was dating her as well. She was cheating on me the entire time. And when I found that out, I was even more upset to the point where I remember I went to the party, I drank, I got near my ex's sister, and well, let's just say one thing led to another. Me and her started making out and we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. But just for a bit of extra revenge, I remember I ended up doing the most worst thing ever and I decided to do the Devil's Tango on her bed, my ex's bed, not my ex's sister's bed, but I did it on her bed. I remember when that happened, instantly out of nowhere, my ex ended up walking in on us and basically started freaking out because I was doing my ex's sister. I gotta say, it felt really good. And even though she was really upset at me, well, what can I say? Revenge is sometimes the best medicine.